Well, good morning, YouTube friends and family, and welcome to today's edition of the Wellness Homesteader. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. So I want to give a shout out to my good friend Gay over at Apron Strings, and I've mentioned her channel many times on my channel, but if you all haven't gone out there and taken a look, I'm telling you, you're missing out. She does the most wonderful recipes and gives me so many great ideas for things to make, especially if you're having company or you need a dish to take to a gathering. She's also been doing on Thursday cooking for one or two, which is really a good option for me so that I don't have to eat leftovers forever. I have a tendency to cook like I have 14 children still eating at the house when my son would bring all of his hungry teenage friends over. So Gay made a very delicious honey pecan glazed chicken, and I really wanted to make it. So from the time she posted the video to today, I had my regular doctor checkup, and he reminded me that I will be getting my cholesterol measured at my next visit in 3 months. So I'm sure you've all heard of the freshman 15. I've got the COVID 10 going on, so are almost 10. I've lost about 20 pounds, and I need to lose, I don't know, 20 more probably. But at any rate, while that chicken looks delicious, and I'll be sure to leave a link to that video down below in the description box, I started thinking, is there a way I could make it that would not impact my cholesterol to the same degree as the original recipe? So I've also shared before, I've had some haters that have made comments on some of my videos where I use cheese or bacon, or it's not low calorie. I've done desserts, and those things have to be treats for me. It cannot be a daily diet. I do like chicken. I'm not a great meat eater, and this is sort of an old school recipe kicked up a notch. So I'm sure you'll recognize pieces and parts of it. So let me swing you down here and we'll get started making my version of honey pecan glazed chicken. Okay, so what I have here are 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, and I just put them between wax paper, saran, and rolled them with the rolling pin to flatten them a little bit so that they're not like hugely tall. They were really dense breasts. Now, in the original recipe, it called for a stick of butter, and you dip the chicken after you season it into the butter. Instead of that, I have just taken 2 egg whites, kind of beat them up a little bit until it's frothy so that our coating that we're going to put on will stick to it. So first thing I'm going to do is I am going to season my chicken breasts, and I have these nicely dried off, and there's a little bit of visible fat, not a ton, but you can certainly trim that off. I don't eat it, so don't worry about it being on the chicken. So I'm going to start putting some granulated garlic, and you could really use any type of seasoning you wanted. I'm going to put a little bit of black pepper. And although I normally do not cook with salt, oh boy, I about used the pour spout instead of the shaker spout. I am going to put just a little bit of salt, and you could certainly omit this. I just filled this. Now, come on. Okay. There we go. One thing you want to remember is always season both sides of your meat. I'm sure if you all cook, you know that. But there's nothing worse than getting like a big glop of garlic powder like I just did. Oh, my word. Well, okay, we got that off there. Probably wouldn't be too much garlic for me, but don't want to get too crazy, right? A little bit of pepper. Now, I personally think that you could add some rosemary, you could add sage, you could add about anything you want as long as it's a complement to the honey pecan. So since we are going to make a topping, I'm not going to add any more spices other than the garlic. So let's give our chicken breast, a bath here in this egg white. And I may not have enough cornflakes. But cornflakes, these are just plain, generic. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Let's scooch down here. Cornflakes are a good option. You could certainly use panko, but cornflakes do not have a lot of added things. They're very basic cereals, so that they're not going to be adding a huge amount of sugar or salt into your diet that you may not want if you're watching your COVID-10. So doesn't that look delish? Okay, so we're gonna put that into our, I just sprayed a 9.5 by 9 pan, and I did use too much of my cornflakes, so I'm going to pause you, wash my hands, grab some more cornflakes, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we have a few more cornflakes there. We're just gonna dip our second breast. And one of the things I think is so good about this recipe is you could do this for as many or as few as you want. You could do it one chicken breast at a time if that's all you need. So I don't think I could have coated it with one egg white. My eggs are not super large. You might, if you put a little bit of water in it, if you really want to watch. And the reason I'm using just the white of the egg and not the yolk has to do with cholesterol. So while I am not a dietitian and I don't give nutritional advice, following a lower cholesterol diet for me has been a challenge, being a lover of all things cholesterol, I think. I like cheese. Cheese is good. I love butter. I like bacon. So, you know, you kind of have to pick your poison and not overload yourself on cholesterol. Okay, so we have this in here as well. And I'm not going to waste these cornflakes. I'm actually going to just sprinkle them on top. So we'll get some nice additional coating. And now I'm going to put it into a 350 oven for about an hour until it's done, and I'll bring you back and we'll make our honey pecan glaze, which will involve a little butter, but hopefully be at a lower concentration of butter than the original recipe calls for. All right, stay tuned. Well, since it's a woman's prerogative to change her mind, I decided instead of honey pecan chicken, we are going to do maple pecan chicken. So I do think honey, being a natural substance, especially if you can get local raw honey, is very good. It does have a tendency to help with seasonal allergies if you get honey from your local area. For those of you with little ones, please follow your pediatrician's advice should you choose to use honey, because there's some thought it should not be used under certain ages. Every pediatrician may have a different recommendation. Okay, that out of the way. So, cholesterol. Why don't I just use margarine? Because some of them are cholesterol free. Margarine is a artificially created product. Most margarines, not all, most are made from soybean oil, and I am allergic to soybean. Butter tastes tremendously better, and in my opinion, if you look at the research, does not do more damage as far as your heart health than margarine, because margarine contains hydrogenated oils which have been shown to clog arteries. Okay, again, not a doctor, not a dietitian or a nutritional person, but that is my research and what I decided. So this original recipe was half a cup of butter, half a cup of pecans, half a cup of butter, half a cup of honey, and I think a cup of pecans toasted. So I'm going to swing you down here because we are going to start by just toasting our pecans. So pecans do not have cholesterol. However, they are quite high in fat. So a quarter cup has 190 calories and 20 grams of fat, which is 26% of your daily allowance. That's a lot of fat. So one thing I've learned through my eating plans is measuring. I think your eye deceives you, and suddenly, you know, a quarter cup, it really, like a half cup looks like a quarter cup, and it just keeps growing. So I'm going to take just a quarter cup. That will give an eighth of a cup. I'm still gonna be at about 15% of my daily requirement. And I'm just gonna toast those around in the pan for just a few minutes and let them begin to release the oils and get fragrant. So another thing to note, when you're trying to eat a healthy diet, it does not mean that your food has to be tasteless. You know, you've all seen my little containers. A lot of you have asked about them. So these are the magnetic spice containers. I'll see if it's still on Amazon, and I'll leave a link for you. As I grow and dehydrate my own herbs, I have been using these little containers to keep them fresh, and I've been really pleased. So learning what those herbs go with, what they taste good in, that's why I watch a lot of cooking. Even though I may not be preparing the recipe, it can give you ideas for other things to cook. Okay. The chicken smells amazing, so I'm having a little difficulty telling if these nuts are getting hot here. Turn it up just a little bit. So what I am going to try to do is use 1 tablespoon of butter. So that would be a half tablespoon in each serving. And I'll just have to see on the maple syrup. I'm thinking about a quarter cup. So while that has sugar, you could use agave syrup, whatever sweetening of your choice if you're concerned about the sugar content, shall we say, of the maple syrup or the honey. Okay, so I'm gonna put in my tablespoon of butter. These are looking toasty. The other thing that I have found has really helped me, and I'm not exactly the poster child for weight loss right now, but as I move forward, I will tell you, I will be sharing some of the things that I find helpful, more from a healthy eating than a weight loss standpoint, because again, that's not my area of expertise. But I have a lot of extracts. I started using extracts because I'm not a chocolate lover, and I like vanilla protein shakes. And in the summer, because they're cold, I don't eat them in the winter, or don't use them in the winter. I like to have different kinds of shakes, and if you just put some extract in it, it really adds a lot of flavor. So today, in addition to the maple syrup, we are going to add a little bit of maple extract. Now, word of caution, guys, don't dump in. Some of these flavored extracts can be like horrible if you get too much. So that is about a quarter teaspoon of maple extract. I'm putting it in now while the pan is hot so that it does take away that alcohol flavor. Oh my goodness, guys, it smells so good. It smells like maple in here. It smells so yum. Okay, now let's see what we'll start with maybe an 1/8 cup of maple syrup and see what that looks like. Oh, I think that's gonna be a gracious plenty. Yeah. Oh my goodness, does this ever look delicious? So you're still getting all of the delicious flavors with maybe a little bit less fat, and I would have put the half stick of butter in and less calories. So I'm just gonna bring this up to a boil, let it all combine so it does make a nice glaze. Turn that off. Oh, y'all, look. Amazing. So I'll heat that up just when the chicken is ready. I'll heat it up a little bit more, and we'll spoon it over the chicken. We'll give it a taste test. I'm also going to broil some asparagus to go with it. Asparagus is a great nutritional vegetable, and you don't have to coat it in a ton of butter. Spray it with a tiny bit of cooking spray. Put some garlic on there or seasonings of your choice. A little Parmesan cheese, stick it under the broiler so it comes out crispy. Very delicious and good for you too. So hang tight and we'll come back when our chicken is done cooking. So while our chicken is cooking, I thought I would just bring you along as I prepare the asparagus and maybe give you an idea for a way that you can try it that you might enjoy it more. So what I find for most people why they don't like asparagus is the stems can be very pithy or woody. Early in the spring, it's usually the most tender. I will confess, the first year that I grew asparagus, I didn't know that you weren't supposed to harvest your first year. So I was out in the garden weeding and I stepped on one and broke it off. And so I ate it. I didn't like even wash it or anything. And it was so good that I literally picked and ate all of the asparagus that had grown. So last year was the first year I really had asparagus to harvest, and it is a perennial. You buy a crown and you plant it, and then it spreads from there, and it is very invasive. I will share that as well. So how do you know where to cut this? What part do you want to waste? What part do you want to eat? So if you just simply snap, where it naturally breaks is at where the woody part begins. So what I will do is check a couple. These are exactly the same length. And then I do want to share, my son got me a new vegetable prepping knife from Mercer Culinary. And this has the ergonomic handle. He's so thoughtful for his old mama. And I've washed this, of course. So I'm just going to cut them all at about the same. Oh, this knife is like, wow, it's the first I've used it. Amazing. So this, if you have chickens, you could certainly give it to your chickens. I'm going to be composting it, but I find that it's unpleasant to eat, so I don't even try. So what I do is I get some heavy-duty foil, put my asparagus on it, and if y'all don't have one of these, I am going to be having a Pampered Chef party. I always want to put a T in chef, to celebrate my 60th birthday. And the party starts on March 21st. I will put a link in the description box. Please, everyone, no obligation to buy, to even visit the party. I don't want anybody to feel like I'm here just pushing sales on you. That's not what it's about. These products make my life easier, and this one is a great one. This is their oil spray, so you can fill it with an oil of your choice. You pump it, and I've already pumped it up, which puts air into it, so it's non-aerosolized. You know exactly what you've put in there. There's no chemicals. You're not killing the ozone layer with propellants. And then you can just lightly, look how lightly that sprays. Like, this is a kitchen must to me. So now my asparagus has a little bit of oil on it, not a ton, and I am going to use a bit of garlic salt. You don't have to use garlic salt. You could use granulated garlic. And then I'm going to use some powdered Parmesan cheese. So you can have 2 teaspoons of Parmesan cheese and only get 1.5 grams of fat and less than 5 milligrams of cholesterol. So we're certainly not going to have that much in a serving. So I just kind of dust it like yay. And then I'll place it under the broiler when our chicken is about ready, and we will have some delicious asparagus to go with our maple pecan chicken. So stay tuned. Well, our delicious maple pecan chicken is done with our broiled asparagus. So what I can tell you, it smells heavenly, but let's give it a taste test. So I can see that the glaze was not as plentiful, if you will, as to what the original recipe was, but you could certainly, increase the amount of glaze. But boy, that's smoking hot. You all have to try this. Absolutely delicious. The breast is nice and tender, still very moist. Definitely adding that little bit of maple extract really brought out the maple flavor. And what else I can tell you, this is Wake Up the Cat good. Hanky Panky Frankie actually started sniffing the closer it got to being ready. He would go, like, I think I smell something good, Mom. Is that for me? So I hope you all are healthy. I hope you are well. I hope you are blessed. If you have not already, don't forget to hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Ring the bell to be notified of new videos, and I will see you all next week. Take care.